Good morning. Welcome to 10-Minute English Cafe on Tuesday, July 21st, 2026.
I have a new card, but the cafe bulletin board has no empty space. I looked twice, but each small corner was full.
Slide the expired card into the archive pocket. That leaves a clear corner without losing a notice.
Perfect. The new card gets a real spot, not one sad piece of tape.
A little space can make something new look invited instead of squeezed in.
Even a paper card needs someone to pull out a chair for it.
That leads into today's stories. First, Chipotle has opened its first restaurant in Mexico.
A U.S. chain selling Mexican-inspired food there will meet curiosity and raised eyebrows.
Next, BBC comedy Ann Droid puts a used care robot in an elderly widow's home.
I see a charging cable by the armchair and an awkward first cup of tea.
Finally, an East London project is testing a sauna heated with biogas from local food waste.
Scraps becoming sauna heat is a bigger journey than this card moving 6 inches.
We turn global news into natural, everyday English conversation for listening and shadowing in 10 minutes a day. Subscribe for daily practice.
No heavy textbook, just 3 stories, friendly opinions, and enough coffee.
Today's keyword is make room for.
I like it. It feels kinder than simply saying, move that thing.
We can clear physical space or give a new person, idea, habit, or system a chance to belong.
I will make room for this card and one unexpected opinion before breakfast.
Chipotle opened its first Mexico restaurant July 16th in San Pedro Garza Garcia in the Monterrey metro area.
Along my lunch route, I would read the menu with curiosity and one raised eyebrow.
That is more concrete than a distant brand dropping a sign onto a building. It follows a development agreement with Alsea, the local operation and expansion partner.
That is more concrete than a distant brand dropping a sign onto a building.
Launch responses were mixed, with welcome and interest alongside skepticism and online teasing. I might join the line, but still ask what this restaurant thinks it can add. Some posts and customers cannot represent one opinion for an entire country. One busy line can show interest, while one sharp joke shows one person's doubt. One noon shot cannot show what all locals think. The chain is entering a place where many regional food traditions have deep local meaning. That menu faces a tougher conversation than my choice between rice and extra beans. The article cannot settle whether the food is objectively authentic or inauthentic. Good. I'd rather describe my plate than judge everybody else's food culture. Can a foreign chain make room for local expectations without pretending it invented the table? It starts with listening. Changing a recipe or service matters more than a cheerful slogan. More Mexico locations are planned, but those future stores must stay in the future tense. One open door is evidence. A row of imagined doors is still a plan. That keeps the story interesting without declaring success or failure after one opening. My test is simple. Would I spend my own lunch money and return next Tuesday when no one's watching the launch? That beats trusting one bright launch day selfie. That leaves room for curiosity, criticism, and changing opinions at one table. I'll keep my eyebrow raised and one lunch chair open with patient curiosity. BBC's new 6-episode comedy, Ann Droid, follows elderly widow Sue, whose son Michael arranges a used, refurbished care robot named Linda.
If Linda arrived, I would move the lamp, find an outlet, and protect my mug.
Michael hopes the robot will help Sue live independently, creating a personal change at home.
That is bigger than a new appliance. A machine by your armchair changes the room.
Sue and Linda share daily space, though neither fits each other's idea of normal company.
I would be too polite on day 1, then complain when Linda reorganized my snacks.
You are writing an episode. Being refurbished makes Linda feel less like a perfect showroom future.
She has a past, like a squeaky secondhand chair that becomes everyone's favorite.
The sitcom can make room for awkwardness and affection. It's not a product demonstration or a study of care outcomes.
A funny breakfast may make me love Linda, but cannot answer a family's safety questions.
The Guardian called the AI companionship oddly appealing. That's a critic's response to the comedy.
Sue isn't welcoming an idea called technology. She's meeting one strange roommate.
That reaction is not a broad claim that real AI companionship is helpful, safe, or effective.
Real homes need practical questions too. Who fixes the machine? What happens after a mistake? And can Sue refuse its help?
Independence and companionship can pull in different directions inside one home.
Sue may want support without feeling watched, like me when my phone says to stand. A reminder can help and still intrude, so trust needs routines and the option to say no. I would start small, one shelf, one charging spot, and no control over music. I'd tag its cord before it slid behind the chair.
Making room for something unfamiliar doesn't mean handing over the whole house.
It can mean one shared breakfast and letting the relationship become less strange slowly.
East London's Our Urban Poplar is testing a sauna with biogas from local food waste, hoping for full operation later in 2026.
I picture carrying kitchen scraps in the rain, then sitting on a warm bench.
It remains a trial, not a continuously operating service or finished success.
I would check the schedule before packing a towel. A test is not an open sauna.
Community residents' food scraps enter an anaerobic digester, where microorganisms break the material down without oxygen.
Nobody tosses potato peels into a fire. There's a middle process. That is less smoky than the scene in my head.
It produces methane-rich biogas, and burning that gas creates sauna heat. Scraps, digester, gas, heat. I need those 4 steps in that order. Community-powered does not mean the sauna uses a neighborhood electricity grid. Neighbors contribute food waste and participation, which feels wonderfully hands-on. The mushroom area is a separate, circular project. Mushrooms are not sauna fuel. Goodbye, tiny mushrooms in hard caps feeding a boiler. Separate basket. The team calls it the world's first, but that's its claim, not a certified record. I can name the claimant without engraving world champion on the door. We cannot call it proven carbon neutral or low carbon until we have real operating data and measurements of methane leakage. A clever circle on a poster can still leak or use unexpected energy. Like our bulletin board, a community can make room for a system while keeping questions visible. Participation can make the unfamiliar feel local. My scraps join a process that neighbors can understand and point to. The project hopes for full operation later in 2026, but that date remains a goal. I would visit after opening, bring the right waste, and leave the mushrooms alone. 3 unfamiliar arrivals entered different spaces today. A foreign restaurant entered a rich food culture, Linda entered Sue's private home, and a waste-to-heat system entered a community project. None became welcome just by appearing. People still needed a menu they could judge, a household routine they could shape, or a clear 4-step process they could follow. Those steps help us ask what part we want to play. That is why make room for was useful. It can mean clearing physical space, but also allowing careful curiosity while keeping honest questions close by. At home, I can make room for a new habit by giving it 10 minutes and one clear place, not by rebuilding my whole morning overnight. We want to keep bringing you stories that make English practice useful and enjoyable, so we have one small request. A tiny everyday example would be wonderful. It can show how welcome grows in real life. Thinking about today's stories, here is our question. What helps something unfamiliar become welcome in a place, a home, or a community? Tell us what comes to mind and why. For me, a familiar routine helps. If Sue and Linda share breakfast at the same table and time, the robot may feel less like a sudden interruption and more like part of the room. I like that. My answer is clear participation with honest limits, because the sauna feels more welcoming when neighbors can understand each step and see what is still being tested.
So, I brought breakfast and you brought a diagram. That's very us. And both answers leave room for trust to grow.
Take today's phrase with you. Make room for something new in one small, practical way. Then, give yourself time to decide how well it belongs. Share your answer in the comments. Any language is totally fine, and even just an emoji works. If you enjoyed today's chat, please hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell. We'll be back tomorrow with another relaxed conversation. See you tomorrow. Save a chair for one new idea, and save the mushroom basket for the garden.